shocking. No one can understand it. Your reaction?
Well, it was shocking. I know you're anti-everything Lakers and a little anti-Luka.
That's not true at all. I'm anti-complaining and excuse-making.
Okay, you've watched the league as long as I have. Have you ever seen a player ejected for an interaction with a fan? Bruce watched it the longest. I've never seen it. So I think anytime it's the first time any of us have ever seen anything, it is understandable for the coach and the player to be surprised by it. I think
many of the Pacers were ejected.
For interaction for hitting a fan?
That came to mind, bro.
Yeah,
like,
okay.
That's a little different.
Yeah, I mean, that is sure. You know what? Good point. Checkmate there. But yeah, I've never seen it, and I think there should be consequences for the official.
Oh my! Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt. I didn't mean that was absurd. But go ahead.
When we now know that, because we've all watched Luka. We can all say Luka talks too much. That's fine. This was not a game where Luka was even maximum Luka yelling at the refs, arguing. And this was not a setting in which he had been yelling at the ref. He got a technical going up the court 15 feet from the official, arguing that someone else got fouled. So it wasn't like he got in his face. That was the technical in the third quarter. This came when he had just checked back into the game. Mm-hmm. So he had been sitting the whole start of the fourth quarter, so it's not like he and the ref had been going at it. And on a play that it's not as if the ref had reason to believe he's looking for a foul, he's yelling at me. There was no contact. It's not that he and the ref, it wasn't a reasonable misunderstanding. And as anyone who's been to that stadium, and I'm sure that ref has been, knows that particular fan in those particular seats is always doing this, particularly with Luka.
So from what you're saying, what do you think the ref was thinking?
I think the ref was looking for a reason to throw Luka out.
Really?
And found it. And I think that when the ref tells Jared Vanderbilt after the first technical, no, anyone can talk to me but him, that gives you reason. And then when Luka has no reason to be mad at the official, and yells at a fan who he's been going back and forth with for years, and throughout that game throws him out. If the Lakers feel maligned by this, and when I say consequences, I don't mean the guy should be fired. I do think that we grade refs. I think this was an F grade for that ref. I think throwing out anybody, but particularly a star player in a huge game in the fourth quarter, you better sure as hell be sure that you're right on what he did. And cursing is allowed in the NBA. Cursing at fans is allowed in the NBA.
That refs don't want to hear. And I don't know what Luka said, but...
Yes, but guys don't brew. I've never seen a player get a technical for saying something to a fan.
I get that, but the misunderstanding, when you look at that play, and I agree, he shouldn't have been thrown out. It was egregious. It was terrible that he was thrown out. Number one, it ruined nowadays, there are very few regular season NBA games that have a playoff feel. Yeah. Christmas is even gone. Like the NFL's taking Christmas, guys are like, this was one of those rare games where both teams were playing with playoff level intensity. It was phenomenal. So he ruined that for the fans. I was hoping that they turned it around, the call, because it clearly, I agree, Luka was talking to the fan. What I do think, though, and this is where I disagree with you, I think it was an honest mistake by the referee. Like, when you look at the play, I don't know how much we can slow it down, he was not looking at Luka when Luka yelled whatever he did. And he heard him clearly, and then by the time he looks at Luka, Luka's kind of looking in that direction. So I think it's a reasonable misunderstanding that you thought, you cussing at me? You know, and then you get a T, and because you had the first T, you're out. But it's unfortunate, but I don't think the ref was like out to get Luka.
Well, then I don't understand unless we think Jared Vanderbilt's lying. Then
he might. So what? The ref. You don't see how the ref thought Luka was talking to him?
No. What I'm saying is, I think Luka's the only player on the court that ref would have made that mistake about. I think that there are certain guys, and it's weird. Because Draymond, the number one barking at refs guys in the league are probably Luka and Draymond. And for some reason, If for Draymond, it means he's allowed to get 7 technicals before he gets his second. And for Luka, this can happen. But I do think that when in the third quarter of a game that Luka has not been barking at the ref repeatedly, he gets a technical and the ref says to Jared Vanderbilt, I will talk to anyone but him, tells me that there is some type of history there. But
it tells me I don't want to hear from this dude. I'm tired of his barking. And a referee can say that. Stay out of my face.
But neither of that's the other thing. But I think the most important point you made was the first one. But the other thing is both of these technicals were given with Luka more than 15 feet from the ref. So I agree, stay out of my face. But at no point was he in that guy's face. He didn't go up and clap at him. And the Vanderbilt one, Luka's running backwards and the ref's at midcourt when he gets it. But the point Brew made, which I think is the important one, he's allowed to change it. He's allowed to fix it. There's nothing in the rule book that says because he stopped it, he can't be like, oh, my mistake. And it was, to me, very clear he knew, oh, I screwed up, and then said, no,
how was it that clear, though? I think, again, to me, and I'm just looking, and I'm with you in that, I thought it was terrible, and I was hoping they reversed it. But when you look at the video, the ref isn't really looking at Luka until he hears something, and then he turns and Luka's like looking in his direction. I think it was an honest mistake. I wish the other refs had been like, hold up. He was talking to the fan, not you. You know what I mean? I think it's very possible. Now, maybe I'm giving him too much credit, the ref. But I think it's very possible he thought Luka was talking to him. I don't think that's unreasonable.
You thought it was fair, fine?
I think that we treat Luka differently than we do every other superstar. Here's the most technical fouls in the last 5 seasons. When Draymond gets kicked out of a game, whether he deserves it or not, Draymond gets ripped. When Dillon Brooks gets kicked out of a game, we say, Dillon Brooks, what is he up to? And when Luka has 73 technical fouls, and he has missed more time than these guys, more than both of these guys, then yes, your reputation is going to precede you.
Yes.
If I go over to your house and your dog tries to bite me every single time I go over to the house, and then finally I'm like, you know what? If this dog tries to bite me one more time, I'm going to freak out. And he lunges at me, and you're mad at me like, no, he was trying to bite the mailman, not you. He was trying to bite the mailman. Oh, that wasn't you, Kevin. That was the mailman he was trying to bite. Like, oh, shoot, my bad. I didn't realize this one time he was trying to bite the mailman because he lights up the mailman too.
Can I respond to both those points? The Draymond Dillon Brooks thing, because that's an important graphic. I don't know if we can put it back up. If that really is just their technicals.
Mm-hmm. Does this include?
No, that does not include flagrants.
No, right, Josh?
And
just
exactly.
Yes.
Draymond and Dillon Brooks in particular, but Draymond historically, Draymond's gotten better about it. When they have been criticized the most, it has been for dirty, dangerous play. It has been for Draymond stomping on Sabonis' chest, Draymond being suspended for a finals game, not for technicals, but for flagrants, for Dillon Brooks hitting LeBron in the groin. Draymond also oddly hit LeBron in the groin.
Yeah.
But so those are, you're right, those guys get criticized, but that's a separate bucket. So Luka's not a guy that gets flagrants. Luka's not a guy that gets thrown out of games for those things. And so I am not arguing that Luka is not the #1 draft pick for Ref Annoyer and Ref Barker. I agree. Obviously that's true.
There's consequences to it.
So this is where I think I disagree with you guys. I don't look at the dog biting a guy analogy. I look at it as the refs are the vet, and it's the job every single time to, you know what? Clean slate. Fresh, I am here to be professional. I can't bring my baggage with me from the past. I don't think it is right. And I do think that you should not necessarily be, just like Joey Crawford, was it, with Tim Duncan? Yeah. You know what I mean? Refs that bring,
with Chris Paul.
Right, that bring baggage with them because of previous issues, to me, are not the guys who should get playoff assignments.
The previous issue was in the third quarter.
No, so,
if he wasn't, then don't get a tech in the third quarter.
What I'm trying to say is I think Luka's the only player on the court who would have gotten that tech in the third quarter for 15 feet from the ref.
But there's a magic word. You know there's a magic word you can't say, and every time you say it.
By the way, are we saying the F word?
Yeah.
Is that what we're talking about?
You're going to get a technical. No, I'm just saying, every time you say it, you're going to get the T.
Here's the other thing. When J.J. Redick, when Luka was kind of like just on the Lakers, remember,
Yes.
and he wasn't himself.
Yeah.
J.J. Redick, this is a quote from February 22nd. I want at least one blackout episode where he's screaming indiscriminately at no one in particular because he's excited. That means he's back. That's the Luka I know, the killer. J.J. Redick knows this guy, and Windhorst said this too about tonight's game. He feeds off negativity.
Yes.
And this is part of the deal. If you're going to feed off the negativity towards the refs, towards other players, towards the fans, then guess what? Sometimes this is going to happen.
But don't you? I agree with all of that. But the reason I said, and I was unfair at the start of the show, and I sincerely apologize when I said Wildes negative, anti everything Lakers. That's not fair.
It's close.
It's close, but it was I painted too broad of a brush. I feel like the reason I kind of spat that at you is every other star player in the league that if on a, forget it being a misunderstanding, even a borderline he was talking to the ref, got thrown out of a 1-point fourth quarter big game, the reaction from all of us would be, man, pretend you didn't hear it. Like that, we would all say it is not the ref show. It's bad for the fans. It's bad for the league.
And it was bad for
and
the
I
fans.
think we all would have hated it. Like that, we all would have. And I think the ref, the ref that the memes going around with Draymond gets the tech, and then it's late second quarter of a big game, Rockets Warriors, and Draymond does this in the ref's face, and the ref just keeps walking. I think some people are a little galled that Draymond can get away with it, but I think most people said this ref, I forget his name, you know what, good job. Like, because
I was hoping he didn't kick.
He
Draymond
does get
out,
tossed
so I
in this
agree with
game.
you.
But he does get tossed in this.
And can I say this?
Hold
Go
on.
ahead.
Right. But that's my point. Draymond got tossed in that game for his 5th technical. And this was, he gets technicals 1, 2, and 3 here, but really just
So do you
one.
know what Steve Kerr said after the, this is what Steve Kerr said after the game, bro. I love Draymond's fire. The reason we have 4 banners up there, we wouldn't have any of this without Draymond. I love his fire. Yeah. J.J. Redick's like, I don't know, some individuals. Man, this is what you court. You want Luka to play with his hair on fire, with a furrowed brow, mad at everybody. This happens. If that's what you're courting, that's what you're going to get sometimes.
Here's what I like to if they can throw that graphic back up again with Luka, Dillon Brooks, and Draymond.
We love that graphic.
What's the thing with these 3 guys? Like, what stands out? Guess what?
Luka's the best.
Draymond and Dillon Brooks need to play with that fire. They need that. That's their whole game. Now, Draymond's going to be a Hall of Famer because of the championships, and he's an awesome defender. But neither one of them is close. And you mentioned, Nick, the superstars that we would lament being kicked out. We would, but none of them act like Luka. And I hated what happened last night. I'm just saying, Luka's too good to be complaining the way he does. But I can't think of another player at that level. No, because if he needed it, he wouldn't play well in home games.
Right, but
that's why he's still mad at
He was
people.
great in Dallas, and everybody's cheering for him. So he doesn't need it.
And I know we have to talk about the actual game, but this is where I feel like I'm going crazy. He didn't yell at the ref.
But Nick, it was an understandable mistake that the ref thought he was yelling at him. I mean, you can't see that?
I think we disagree on how understandable it is, but my point is we are talking about Luka doesn't need it. Luka doesn't need to do it. Luka clearly needs to find someone, a combatant. The absolute...
You got 5 combatants out there for you to go at.
By the way, yelling at the opposition will get you technical sometimes. The absolute #1 safest, smartest draft pick of who should I direct my ire at is annoying heckler who has his own nickname within the stadium, we went at it in the playoffs last year, who we know each other, who gave a quote after the game saying, well, I always play the game within the game. That is the #1 draft pick of who is the safest person to direct my ire at. Not the other coach, not the other player, not the ref. And he got thrown out for it. That's wrong. It's just wrong, and they could have fixed it. And so
I think you are 100% wrong. Josh.
See, that's not.
Josh, that wasn't to you. That was my bad.
I knew it wasn't
That was
to me
my
because
bad.
it would have been so unreasonable for you to be saying that to me.
Josh.
Just like it would have been unreasonable for
that's
the.
my
I actually
bad.
thought that was a very good example. That was a mic drop. That was a mic drop.
That was on
We
Josh.
got to get to this game, but I mean,
Well,
I don't know what we're doing.
supposed
We're going to have to push something out. We got to talk this game.
Yeah.
All right.
No, more than 60 seconds. We got to talk this game. This is big.
Okay,
Rue
well,
is talking to Dusty right now.
Yeah, let's.
Is this another bit or is this?
No. We got to talk
got 5
Lakers,
minutes here.
OKC.
Okay, Brew, here was where the game stood before the ejection, pretty evenly matched. There was a ton of lead changes. So who should feel better about last night, even though OKC did have a win? But
Well, look, I liked that OKC. They did their normal, team gathering post game to talk to the announcer, but I don't know why they are feeling so good. I mean, when the Lakers were whole, the Lakers were winning. I get it. It was a 1-point game, 108-107. But the game after Luka left, I don't care what happened.
Totally agree.
That's irrelevant. When Luka was there, they were leading you. They were in your building. Shea just said it. We could not get whipped twice in a row. The OKC had more incentive in this game than the Lakers. The Lakers obviously went out to win. But I'm just saying, OKC brought everything they had, and they were down at home, and the Lakers had walked them down 12 points, walked them down by holding them to 17 points in the third quarter.
Yeah, and
so
Luka
I don't know why they got good to.
And Luka
they have
just
nothing
got
good to feel about.
Right. So yeah,
feel good about.
I mean, to me, it's unequivocally the Lakers. The Lakers were the team that was down a key rotation piece. The Lakers were the team on the road. The Lakers were the team who had in these baseball-style series, they had already won the first one and had blown you out. And the Lakers gave up 80 in the first half. You cannot have a better offensive half than the OKC had. And they were still, Lakers had taken the lead before the third quarter was over and then taken it back. And to me, because of how Shea and Luka's rest had split, and Luka had sat that whole first 4 minutes of the fourth quarter and was going to be able to play the rest of the way, it was the Lakers in that moment were the favorites, and they don't need to beat OKC a bunch of times in that building. They need to be able to beat OKC once in that building, and to me, they showed they could. And what OKC, to me, has demonstrated now for 2 consecutive years in 2 different uniforms, they have the #1 defense in basketball. Has nothing to do with Luka Dončić.
Nothing.
They cannot deal with him. And so I was honestly shocked at how good the Lakers looked last night. I didn't think they should play their guys. I thought, okay, see, this is a game you're just going to lose anyway. And when they score 80 in the first half, for them to then hold OKC to 17 in the third quarter to get it back, I feel like the Lakers in a series, it wouldn't be like, they've got a shot. I think the Lakers are better than Oklahoma City head-to-head.
Yeah, that matchup is just a tough one for OKC. And the other thing I felt, and Jalen Williams played well. I think he had 24, 26 points, something like that.
Chet's not ready.
Yeah, he's young, right. Shea, I felt like Shea was Superman last night just to keep them down a point with 7 minutes left in the game. Like, he's going to have to – is he going to do that throughout a 7-game series 4 times? Late in the series, sometimes in L.A., he hit 5 3-pointers, 5 of 9. He's hit 5 3-pointers 3 times this year.
Shea was great.
Shea is not a great, 3-point shooting isn't his thing. He's gotten a lot better at it. But the way he was shooting, I don't know if he's doing that consistently against the Lakers, and that worries me if I'm a Thunder fan.
They lost by 16. They're 5-5 in their last 10.
You talking about the Lakers?
Yeah.
Luka was that. You really think it's relevant after Luka got injured or got kicked out?
Yeah. I think if your second best player has to leave the game for some reason, whether he gets thrown out, whether he gets a tweak something,
I think it's,
and you let go of the rope and then Vando immediately gets it, and then all of a sudden the dam breaks and you end up losing by 16, and JJ has to pull the starters.
If Shea was out, would you feel the same way?
If SGA went out and then it fell apart like that, I think it would be noteworthy. I don't know if I'd come on and say, I feel better about the Thunder that they lost by 16.
And I know we got to go. I think that they react differently if Luka turns his ankle and goes to the locker room and never comes back. I think there was the he got thrown out shock, and then Vando got the technical immediately thereafter, and then they thought,
which was
right. So I don't.
So
think
how is that not an indication of a team that was not focused and couldn't rally back once?
Because it wasn't. I don't think they would have let go of the rope like that in a playoff game, and I also think that we now have. I mean, that's fine.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.